Hey Summoners, welcome back to another ProGuides video. We're going to cover 5 secrets that pros keep to themselves, especially if your ambitions are to play competitively in the amateur or collegiate scene, dream of the big stage, or just want to get better. These are things that you'll want to incorporate into your practice routine. I want to quickly mention that the tips in this video aren't everything. They're not going to magically transform you overnight and are instead going to help you improve in the long run. Incorporate these into your practice routine and also make sure to continue to seek out information as you already do. For our question of the day, what's something that you learned from a pro player that you use in your own gameplay? One of our analysts says he learned the value of boots by watching Marin back in Season 5. They let you come back to lane faster and also outmaneuver your opponents. Are you getting ganked in your own lane? Constantly demolished? Don't worry, we got you covered. ProGuides is the #1 proven way to quickly help you level up your League of Legends skills. Whether you're looking for tier lists, champion guides, coaching, or courses from your favorite pro players, ProGuides is where you'll find them. Even players like Nightblue, Bunny Fufu, and Loco Doco support ProGuides. So what are you waiting for? Click the link to start improving right now. Alright, let's get started. The first thing pros do that you probably don't is they think meticulously about their auto spacing. This is especially important for marksman players, but is definitely a prevalent part of any ranged character's gameplay, and a secondary objective for melee ones too. So what exactly is auto spacing? While originally outed as a big meme, the term has become much more accepted as of recent. It's very open to interpretation, but it's essentially a deeper part of positioning. Positioning is a general idea of where you should be in a fight. You should be diving the backline with a flank, you should be as far away from the enemy assassin as possible while still autoing, etc. Auto spacing takes this concept to your basic attacks. You need to understand where you should be auto attacking from. You want to space yourself so that you're always in the least amount of danger, or sometimes even no danger at all. This is paramount as a bot laner especially. In any given situation, there's almost always a position you can be in where you're only in range of one of your 2 opponents. If you're in range of both of them, this is the danger zone, as you're prone to an all-in or heavy trade since both your opponents can attack you simultaneously. Another part about auto spacing is taking into consideration where you want to be by the end of your attack animation. If you have a range advantage over your opponent, you can try to imagine your enemy's attack range as a circle covering the area around them. Think about yours too, it's a little bit bigger. When you have a range advantage, there's going to be a point where you're able to hit your opponent while they can do nothing back to you. That's the sweet spot, and you'll want to hover in that area whenever you trade, then quickly back out. When your enemies are turning around, you can hit them again while they're still in that sweet spot. This is some of the harder parts of auto spacing, but there are easy parts too, like understanding if your opponent will run away or not. In cases where you know confidently that you'll win a fight, it might actually be better to simply move forward. Once your opponent realizes that they're about to lose, they'll start panicking and try to run away. However, if you've been spacing yourself and moving forward this whole time, they could potentially still be in range of your auto attacks even if they flash or use their abilities to try and escape. Range advantages play another crucial role in gameplay. Pros utilize them to their fullest potential, often dominating the lane from the very first minion wave. This level 1 wave management strategy is especially common in solo lanes, and almost every pro uses it. While it's a lot to know, it gets much easier as you practice. As a ranged champion, from level 1, you need to immediately auto-attack your enemy. If they're trying to push the wave, continue to auto-attack them from behind your caster minions and chunk them out. Even if they push the wave in, you've taken out a bunch of their health and you can play it by ear from there. What usually happens, however, is the melee champion will have to give up priority and back off so they don't take a bunch of damage. The key here is not to overextend too far into the minion wave while you're poking. Don't take too much damage. If you're playing top lane, retreat back into the brush as well to drop minion aggro. Once your opponent is backed off, slow push the wave. Last hit only, and if your opponent walks up to farm, make sure to poke them. The goal is to either start a slow push, poke your opponent down, or both. Oftentimes, players get too greedy, and you'll usually be able to make them use a potion or 2 off of the first few waves alone. When you hit level 2 from the second wave, you should have established lane control by now. Your opponent is still level 1, so make sure to posture more aggressively. Continue to push the wave slowly, but at this point you can demand respect and push your enemy even farther back. Finally, if executed properly, you'll crash a huge minion wave into turret. While your opponent is farming, don't let up. Poke them when they go for those last hits and get them as low as you can. If they get too greedy or make mistakes at any time, you can look for a solo kill, of course. Even if your opponent plays safe, this strategy will always net at least one of two things. You'll either have a farm lead from zoning your opponent, or your opponent will be low from all that previous poke, meaning they either have to recall or give you lane priority. Alright, that covers two specific tricks pros use, so let's talk about some practical tips now. One thing you're not doing that's absolutely robbing you of an opportunity to improve is playing practice matchups. Hit up your pals or other players you know with a 1v1 me bro. Pro players and even high elo players know everything about a matchup. If you're stuck trying to make that push for high diamond, master, grandmaster, or even challenger, lacking some understanding in this regard may be what's holding you back. When you play 1v1s, there are two things that can be relevant to you: mechanics and power spikes. If you're already a high elo player, it's quite likely that the mechanical aspect might not be as important for you. This is something a lot of great players do, don't underestimate this. You'll probably have to play suboptimally in order to get the most out of these 1v1s. Even if you think you might lose a 1v1 with an even wave, this is the time where you get to go for it anyway and see what happens if you play it perfectly. Or maybe you can see what happens when your opponent outplays you. It might feel like you're running it down almost, but this is essentially a time for you to learn with no price to pay. Ever wondered if you could win a winning matchup even if you tank your whole minion wave? Well, now's the time to find out. For you lower elo players who still need to work on mechanics, this might be the time to start practice flashing that Orianna ult, or practice that flash follow through as Ahri to redirect your Q's return. Things that you might have been too afraid to try in a real game, well, now's the time. If you're a jungler, this is a bit harder, but there can still be value in this. It definitely won't be as time efficient though, so you'll likely want to instead only resort to this if you just played a matchup, lost it, but need to retry a certain 1v1 at a specific level. Hop onto the Rift, farm up to that level, and find out how or if you can win a fight. But what if I don't have any friends? For all you Amumu mains, this means that it's time to quit the charades and make some friends. I already know there's going to be some jokes made about this in the comments, but seriously, befriending other players can't hurt you. At worst, you end up with a new friend. Just make sure to avoid the crazies. Now, if you need help making friends, don't worry. ProGuides has got you covered. No, I won't be your friend. As the adage goes, give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. Stay tuned till after the 5th tip, and I'll also drop you one that may be more valuable than all: how to make friends. Surrounding yourself with players near your skill level or better than you is essential. This will not only push you to improve, but also give you more effective practice. You don't get much from crushing someone worse than you, aside from crushing their soul. Well, that is unless they're trying to improve, in which case, you're that better player that they're trying to learn from. Good on them though, as they're trying to get in that matchup practice. When pros look over replays, they'll often do it with their teammates, analysts, and coaches. Well, I'm gonna make a pretty absurd assumption, but I think these guys are probably all pretty good at or knowledgeable about the game. Now, if you're watching this video, you're most likely not a pro player, so this is ultimately a luxury that pro players have. They're surrounded by equally great players to talk to and discuss these things. It almost seems unfair, but it's really not, because even the average Joe has some access to these sorts of things. This is where sitting down with someone better than you, having multiple people look over something with you, or even bringing in a coach is invaluable. Even when you give it your all looking at your own replays, at the end of the day, that's only one set of eyes. You don't have to be annoying and pester someone for every single replay you review, but once in a while, it can definitely be insightful to have other people look at your replays with you. They might notice things that you don't see, or just have a different perspective on things. Even if you might think someone might be wrong, it's still important to think about what they say. There's the possibility that after reflecting, they might be right. An equally important skill is to be able to determine whether a statement is correct or not, and this will help you develop that muscle. Another thing worth mentioning is mindset. We've talked a lot about this in our other videos, so we're going to deviate away from the whole results-oriented thinking and objective thinking topic. Not every pro is the type of person who's willing to be super positive and place the responsibility on themselves. In fact, very few are. Some are even toxic and hated by a lot of high elo players. However, what they do have in common is how good they are. Regardless of how they view their teammates and if they blame themselves or not, they play to get better. While it's definitely great if you can own up to your mistakes, at the end of the day, what actually matters is whether or not you're improving. Whether your mindset is, my teammates suck and I need to get good enough to carry them, or there are things I can continue to work on. They both have upward trajectory in mind. The bottom line is that they always have growth on their mind above anything else. Alright, so back to making friends. How do I find people to play against and improve? If you're in school, join a club. Don't have one? Maybe you're the one that's destined to start it. This is by far the easiest way, as literally everyone there is likely looking to make friends as well. Do you have a favorite streamer? Why not join their Discord or get involved in their community? They're always happy to have more people in their following, and you'll possibly be able to talk to them or others on their server. It might be worth seeking out smaller streamers, as they'll be more likely to respond to you directly as well. Add people after game and just hit them with a, hey, you played well, can we 1v1? I mean, who doesn't like being told they're good? This is a simple approach, and at worst, they just ignore your friend request. Alright, that's going to conclude this video. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Once again, make sure to check out ProGuides.com and our YouTube channel for even more resources to help you improve. Until next time, good luck out there on the Rift.